Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome all to our 21st webinar. I would like to start by wishing you and your families a very happy new year and my personal best wishes for your health and safety in these difficult times. As we start this meeting, I thought while nature is reawakening, humanity is facing one of its darkest periods in living memory. COVID-19 is causing tragic loss of life, and the measures needed to fight it have turned our world upside down, affecting billions of people and stopping economies in their tracks. This is a crisis like no other. We anticipate the worst economic downturns since the Great Depression. While there is tremendous uncertainty around the forecast, the global growth fell to -% this year, and we project a partial recovery this year with growth expected at approximately 5 to 6%. That is our baseline scenario. We know that it could get much worse depending on many variable factors, including the depth and duration of the pandemic. We also know that despite the extraordinary uncertainty, we can chart a path forward. An entrepreneurial ecosystem can make all its members stronger and more resilient. The COVID-19 pandemic has underscored just how true this can be, as small businesses that are members of ecosystems have been able to pivot quickly and creativity in response to the new business landscape. ABN, the business networking arm of IATA, has been organizing webinars successfully for the past 5 months to brainstorm practical ideas for new growth, and the companies in the network immediately set to work developing new plans. In these times of economic hardship and concerns about personal health and safety, now is the time when the true value of ABN Business Networking Group has come into play. The ecosystem they had created meant that they all had immediate access to more resource and support than they would have had on their own, which opened opportunities for creative solutions to the new problem. Leadership emerged from almost all quarters, especially in times of crisis. Educators, government officials, business leaders, and entrepreneurs can all play critical roles in catalyzing new forms of collaboration. Given the speed with which we have seen entrepreneurs and their communities doing just this in response to the current pandemic, we are confident that many of our entrepreneurs will be able to not only build resiliency, but also restore and identify new opportunities for growth. The combination of the COVID-19 pandemic, demand disruption, and a supply glut has generated an unprecedented crisis for the oil and gas industry. Oil prices could recover in 2021 or 2022 to pre-crisis levels of $50 to $60 a barrel. Crude prices differentials in this period are also likely to present both challenges and opportunities. In a downside, oil prices might not return to levels of the past. In any case, oil industry is in for some challenging times in the next few years. Gas prices could fall much lower than in the previous mega cycle. The pandemic has had an immediate impact, lowering gas demand by approximately 5 to 10% versus pre-crisis growth projections. Demand for refined products is down at least 20% and has plunged refining into crisis. We think it will be 2 years at least before demand recovers, with the outlook for jet fuel particularly bleak. Oil and gas companies will have to prove that they can master this space through discipline in finance, capital allocation, risk management, and governance will be critical. All players will also need to accelerate their automation and digitalization initiatives to gain new levels of operational efficiency. Such transformations are the only way to ensure long-term viability of the petroleum sector. Oil companies need to completely rethink the roles in the future industry ecosystem as traditional business models become progressively untenable. ABN thought it fitting to organize this webinar to enlighten members from the oil and gas industry and give them a heads up on oil and gas emerging trends, global potential for manufacturing, engineering, and service sector. Mr. R. Balasubramaniam, Director of Operations, Amek Foster Wheeler, will share his inventing thoughts and rich experience in an eloquent style that is synonymous with him. This session is tailored to give the audience a heads up on recent developments in the oil and gas industry and prepare them for the time ahead. Friends, put your hands together for our guest speaker and let me have the privilege of welcoming Mr. R. Balasubramanian. Mr. R. Balasubramanian graduated with a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering in 1979 from Annamalai University. held senior management positions in project engineering departments of multinational engineering companies such as Saipem Stamp Projeti, CB&I, Lumas, Foster Wheeler, Saudi Arabian Kings. Held management positions in world-size petrochemical companies such as Reliance Industries Limited and SABIC. Has delivered large oil and gas LNG projects globally, leading multicultural international teams. Presently employed as Director of Operations of AMEC Foster Wheeler, India. Responsible for operations of Indian Center for execution of projects. He has represented the university athletic team, and playing tennis is his passion. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. R. Balasubramanian, with his combination of academic knowledge and practical know-how, will take you through specific challenges and inventive ways to overcome them, be it technical, operational, or research. The webinar will address topic of current relevance and critical to building a profitable future. I'm not going to extend my speech because I would like him to take over. As we discuss different emerging views and innovations in the oil industry, the opportunities and challenges, I believe today is going to be a day of learning for each one of us. Thank you, and request Mr. R. Balasubramanian to take over.
Thank you, Gopi. Sir Balasar, you can start your presentation.
Thank you.
And share also.
Is my audio visible?
Yes, sir, it is. It is.
1 minute, I'm sharing. Thank you very much for AABN for giving me this opportunity to share a few thoughts about what are all the challenges that are faced by the oil and gas industry, how it is emerging, and what role the potential it is going to open up for engineering, procurement services, construction, and operational and maintenance services, particularly for Indian entrepreneurs and business. I also thank people who have taken time from their busy schedule to make this, to be present in this event, to listen to some of my thoughts. I also feel very humbled by the presence like Mr. Navneet, Mr. Nagarajan, who are all my senior colleagues, and we work together. And I also feel this topic will be of great importance, not only to entrepreneurs, but also to our learned academic facilities of our university, who are shaping up our future engineers. However, we try hard to do business, the sustainability depending on the chain of talent that is going to come from the university. During this, having said that, many of my oil and gas colleagues who are present here, maybe some of the points what I talk may be known to them, or in fact, they are more knowledgeable than what I am in that field. But this is purely my perception of how this industry is going to emerge. During the course of presentation, I intend to use some of the audio visuals for illustration purpose. These audio visuals are available in public domain, and I want to clarify, in no way I am advocating or vouching those products and services. It is purely for illustration purposes. With this, if all of you permit, can I go into the presentation?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
As Gopi summarized it very well, let us start for the oil and industry. I thought we will start with the demand forecast. The demand forecast for the oil is done by various research agencies, like you may be knowing OPEC, PwC, McKinsey, Wood. So many people are working on this type of demand and supply and the projections where it goes, which helps the industry to plan. And these reports more or less point to these figures. May not be it is accurate to the second decimal, but it is somewhere in this region. The current global demand is around 96 to 98 million barrels per day. The projected demand, why I have used 2040 to be for 120 million barrels per day is with reason. Because this studies project, this demand is going to go from 96 to 98 to 110, 120 level, somewhere between 2035 and 2040. After that, it is going to more or less stabilize in that level of consumption. This is basically because you all may be knowing the emerging scenario for the energy is through alternate, like wind, solar, nuclear, many are competing energies are there, but this oil is not going to vanish from the scene. Some people keep telling that after 2040, 25, this oil industry will be zero. No, it is not. Earlier, when my best friend, my roommate, my colleague, who Mr. Varadarajan, who works for UOP, and he will also delivered a talk on how this oil industry demand is going to go. And he also corroborated saying that this most of the oil demand in future is going to come from petrochemical sector rather than fuel. Many companies across the globe are changing towards crude to chemical is what we call. Most of the refineries either are getting reconfigured or getting augmented to make it more towards the downstream. Having said this, OPEC predicts around 8 to 10 million, 10 trillion US dollar investment to even sustain and stabilize this growth up to 40. Having said this, what is the current oil demand in Indian scenario? Oil demand in India is around 4.5 to 5.1 million barrels per day. The projected demand by 2040 is going to go to 10 to 11 million barrels per day, and projected natural gas demand is going to be 143 metric tons. So you may be aware that India is one of the largest importer of oil, and our economy is growing. So our oil demand is going to be very robust. Having said the Indian oil demand, what is it Indian economy and Indian government planners are going to do to meet this oil scenario? One key aspect that is coming out of this slide is Oil and Gas Ministry has allowed 100% FDI in exploration upstream side, and with some limit on downstream side regarding refining, petrochemical and things like that. Also, they are leveraging Make in India initiative, which is not fully integrated into this investment. So with these two things, I can say this is my thought is oil demand is growing, and we need certain amount of investment by way of new projects or augment and modernize the existing oil and gas facilities, and that investment is driven by most efficient way of delivering projects. Having said this, how and what are all the challenges that are faced by this oil and gas industry on the ground level? As Gopi has set the context, this reduced oil price is going to stay for long. Probably it may not even reach more than $100 per barrel may not be reachable. With this reduced oil price scenario, pressure on margin on the industry is increasing to optimize their expenditure and cost by way of operation, by way of refurbishment, by way of new capital investment, whatever we call it. There is a huge pressure on margin and ways and means to look how to make this operation more profitable. On the other hand, there are environmental laws and compliances are becoming very stringent and more visible to public. This involves not only a compliance issue, but also a reputation issue. This reputation issue is basically if a major accident occurs in an oil and gas facility, it not only involves in financial losses, but also reputational losses, and consequences are very huge. Because of this integration from crude to chemical, projects have become larger, more integrated, and more complex. And the project schedules are becoming very challenging. A project which I used to do when I started my career in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years for that matter, now the expectation is to do it in 2 years. Sometimes when I see the schedule for the project, I thought it is like a copy paste. Everybody wants 24 months. And another major issue that is challenging this industry is the aging workforce. I can say with a lot of intimate knowledge, in the past 10-15 years, particularly in India, there is no new addition to this oil and gas workforce, which is very minimal. Most of our young engineers are either going to IT, going to other fields rather than coming to this sector. To give you an anecdote, somebody was asking, I asked someone when I was giving a lecture in one college, I asked, where do you want to work? Oil and gas? I asked, no. Then he said, where do you want to work? He says, I want to work for a technological company. This answer totally baffled me. If oil and gas is not technological company, what else is technological company? I don't know. This is how the knowledge has percolated in the colleges. And on the other hand, people who are already in the field are getting older, and particularly in Europe, it is very difficult to find a productive workforce. Most of their workforce are aging. With all these challenges, how our industry is going to meet these challenges and come out credibly is a question mark. And some people, some of the companies have grappled this situation very well, and they are trying to emerge very well on this in this field. It is totally previously, if it is 10-15 years back, if oil price goes down, generally oil companies, particularly in the Middle East, they respond on a temporary measure in a short-term goal. What they do is they cut certain operating costs, they defer some of the projects till the oil price recovers, and all were temporary short-term measures. And they were all hoping this dip is temporary and it is going to rebound. Now the industry has realized this dip may not reach the previous level of what we used to talk. So they have started now looking at more and more other means of sustaining and growing this business on a long-term perspective. How they are being done in any oil and gas facility, it is not only to create new assets to sustain the production, but also you have to refurbish and modernize the existing assets by way of capital project. The capital projects in our industry are generally done by EPC, engineering, procurement, and construction. There are various means of contracting this EPC. I am not going to go into that detail, but generally oil operators do this services EPC, either through a specialist third party or a single contractor who can deliver this. Now, to optimize and survive this future challenges, we need more optimized project delivery. How this project delivery is optimized by way of EPC steps, I will briefly touch upon in the next few slides. And also, once the asset is built, the improved plant operation and maintenance is also a challenge. And the third important point is collaboration and standardization among the oil and gas industry is also being looked at. Even though it has not, collaboration and standardization has started occurring, but it is not to the full extent. The other two, most optimized capital project delivery and improved plant operation and maintenance, is already there. It is no longer a future. It is emerging. The common factor, which is among all these three, is leveraging digital technology and analytics. Let us take the first element of a capital project delivery, E, engineering. Engineering consists of design and engineering. As the project has become more complex, more integrated, a single nameplate capacity is slowly thinning down. Even though one refinery will have a capacity or a petrochemical has a certain capacity per annum, the operators are looking for more flexible plant design, more what I can say, more predictable behavior of the plant in the business scenario that is going to change. It is no longer I build a refinery and I operate it for so many tons of kerosene, so many tons of fuel, so many tons of propylene is slowly vanishing. The business scenario, if it is changing, how quickly the business has to respond to this change with certainty is expected to be done during design stage. That is the key of this engineering and design these days. How this is done? Number of simulation cases are done for various operating, steady state and transient scenarios and various feedstocks and various product mix. This also is heavily leveraged by powerful computing tools, because those of you who are chemical engineers may be able to appreciate any design in chemical engineering is not a straightforward design. It is an iterative process. It takes number of iterations to arrive at a solution, and powerful tools for computing has made it much easier, and it has given the flexibility for the designers as well as the operators to predict the plant performance, both in terms of different feedstocks, different product mix, different environmental conditions, different transient scenarios, and the plants are completely flexible and it is predictable. I will show a small video as how this powerful computation is used by way of computational fluid dynamics to design even the most simplest equipment of an oil and gas, like a three-phase gas separator. Let me play this video.
Sir, I think the sound is not coming in the video.
No, in this video, there is no sound.
Fair enough, sir. Perfect.
Actually, it is separating. This vessel is separating gas, liquid, and oil. It's a simple vessel, but it can the CFD predicts how this flow is distributed inside and how this is behaving. So this can be simulated for various cases, and these are all the powerful tool which also optimizes the separator, but also predicts how the separator is going to behave in a different condition. This is just an example of CFD. It is used in a much more complex design as well. This is another example of a CFD, which is a lengthy video, but it tells you how a mechanical component that are going into the building of a refinery or a petrochemical, how this powerful computing tools with lot of algorithms and iterative calculation is being leveraged without you having to simulate or prepare a prototype to test it.
Autodesk simulation software, part of the Autodesk solution for digital prototyping, provides a range of mechanical simulation tools to help designers, engineers, and analysts make decisions earlier in the engineering design process. With these tools, you can predict the real-world performance of your product, helping to save the time and money required to build multiple physical prototypes. Autodesk simulation software lets you start with mainstream
So rest of it is going into the detail as to how
tools and then expand your toolkit.
Having completed the design, all this designed plant have to be engineered. Engineered means you have to do equipment design, we have to do piping design, we have to do the structure, we have to do the foundation to make it reality. These days, more and more engineering operations are completely integrated. What do I mean by completely integrated is, it is working on a data-centric tools rather than document-centric tools. It can integrate right from design up to the construction on a common platform. It allows simultaneous working of various teams. Maybe it can be in the same platform, in the same model, a civil team works, a piping team works, an instrumentation electrical team works. Also, these tools can be shared across the globe, and they can also work on the same tool. So this allows people within one team of various disciplines also to work together. It also enables construction, procurement, and other centers wherever the refinery is located. Maybe engineering is done in India, the plant is located in America, the owner is located in Saudi. We can all work on a same platform. What it brings to the table is it allows parallel working, thereby shorter schedule, and it is more data-centric and digitized, and it is more intelligent. Then your chances of human intervention and error is less, and it is faster. Even the procurement is not handled separately. This one model can completely do from design up to the construction and feedback on a real time. I will show you a snapshot of a model which is not very intelligent now, because if you want to make it intelligent, you need that software. I have taken few snapshots. This is a snapshot of a petrochemical facility. This is a real-time model, though it is dumped here. It is all created by an engineering software and an engineering team. You can imagine how many number of pipes, how many equipment, this complex design. So many people are working parallel in this tool, in this platform. It can detect clashes. It can directly talk to procurement tools. It can go to the construction and which spool is constructed can be fed back into the model. Certain constructed or closed engineering positions can be locked. Those lines cannot be touched. It is very intelligent tool. And it also integrates the design with the modeling. You see, this is the STAD model, calculation model of that structure. It is a separate software which allows the various forces and forces on the members to size this structure. Previously, in previous generation of this model, we used to create this calculation model and manually transfer it to the engineering model. Now, this model can directly talk to engineering model. Thereby, any changes here can reflect there, and any changes made in the 3D modeling due to different routing, different engineering positions can reflect here. I will show you the same model on an engineer. See, this is an engineering model cut short. It is derived from that calculation model and vice versa. So in short, I am trying to tell this is the powerful tool which enables a complete solution from design up to the construction. Thereby, you are going with powerful analytics and tools to make it more robust, more optimized, more cost efficient, more productive, and it can also work across the globe. This is another small video which I would skip. It says if it is a greenfield project, it is very easy. I can start everything from scratch. If I have to work on a refurbishment or a modernization of an existing refinery or a petrochemical plant, which is located elsewhere in the globe, and if the engineering is done somewhere else, how to get those exact data of those plants' prevailing conditions physically. Previously, in previous era, we used to send someone, he will take measurement, he will send it back, then somebody has to create this model. Nowadays, there is a powerful tool that has emerged in recent years, which is called 3D laser scanning. The 3D laser scanning, like our CT scan, it scans through a laser all the facilities to the accuracy of 2 millimeters, and it rotates in 360 degrees to scan this plant. It can generate data points roughly around 9,50,000 data points per second, and this we call point cloud. And that point cloud is directly integrated to that model so that you can readily work on a facility which is built, which is not having enough data for you to work. Within no time, if it can be scanned and the model can be created. This is also another one of the recent technological advances. We use very heavily this. With all these things, where are we in India in this design and engineering? As of today, what is going to happen, I will cover a little later. India has emerged as one of the engineering hubs of oil and gas engineering. People who are from my own field, they know almost all the oil majors are having engineering office in India. Most of them are situated in Chennai. It has emerged. Previously, 10 years back, it started like a back office drafting office. Now, most of the companies deliver global projects from India, and clients have accepted and acknowledged Indian engineers' contribution in this sphere. What drives these oil companies to do engineering in India is twofold. One is our knowledge base and our young population who can, there are many engineers here. When compared to Europe, we have more engineers. The quality of engineers, I don't want to discuss, but we have engineers. In Europe, there is no resource to deliver such a large oil and gas project. Second thing is cost is a driver. If the same engineering has to be done in US or UK, it will at least cost 3 to 4 times than what you do in India. So these are all the drivers. And originally, even during my career, people used to be very skeptical about getting engineering done in India. There used to be clauses that it should not be outsourced to India or somewhere. Now I see major oil companies like Exxon, BP, they have started asking how many percentage of this you are going to do in India. That is the transformation. Rather than asking why you are doing it in India, now they are asking how much, why you are not increasing Indian content. Coming to the supply chain. Supply chain, I don't want to dwell more on this. Supply chain is generally now in an engineering, it is completely integrated through that model, and it has gone completely digital. Very few bidding or very few approvals are taking place on paper, including all the activities, engineering, pre-order, post-order, inspection, up to the delivery. It is all digital now. If you see an oil and gas facility, 5 to 10% could be your engineering cost. Around 60% could be your procurement cost, material. Procurement means I am saying supply of equipments, bulk material, everything, supply. And roughly around 30–40% is your construction cost. So the majority of the cost lies in the procurement of equipment and material. Then because of this margin pressures and to sustain, the project delivery companies as well as the owners started looking for a low-cost source from elsewhere. I will show you how the spread of this is done across the globe. But there are countries which can competitively supply the same material when compared to the sourcing from US or UK or Europe. So the low-cost sourcing, generally China is the leader in this. Most of our China supply is around 15 to 20% cheaper for like-to-like basis if it is sourced from Europe, that too particularly for drums, vessels, exchangers, silos, and things like that. When compared to rest of Asia, the rest of Asia is costlier by roughly 20% than the China price. Why this is so? What needs to be corrected is to be seen. But this is a raw data which says like this. Rest of Asia and other low-cost source I am meaning Taiwan, Thailand, India, Romania, and places like that. These are all emerging, provided if you are able to do something to diminish this difference. When compared to static, India is having a price advantage when it comes to rotating and machineries, say like pump, compressors. Our price, China price is, in some case, it varies from 8 to 20% costlier. That means somehow we are able to supply rotating machinery at a competitive price when compared to static. This slide gives you a global spread of how oil and gas procurement supply is sourced from different parts of the world. If you see India, you have to search. It is around 0.5%. China is already there up to 10%. Now this is a little old data. Now this is, if you see, majority of the supply is still sourced from rest of Europe, US, Germany. This scenario is going to change. If we leverage our manufacturing capability in Asia, particularly in India, maybe majority of your sourcing can be done from India, which is a huge potential for Indian suppliers and manufacturers of rotating and static machineries. Another aspect of the supply is supply chain services. That means I need an office and a team of people who ensure these are procured, inspected, delivered to the project globally. India is slowly emerging as a supply chain services hub. That means not material sourced from India, Indian engineers and expeditors and buyers are located in India who can do the sourcing for a particular project or a company all over the world. So services is little mature, but still it is evolving. This is also another great potential. Like in IT sector, most of the bank operation is back office is centralized in India. This global procurement is also in future going to be centralized in India. Apart from material supply, which has got a huge potential in oil and gas industry. Then I will touch upon the C portion of it. C portion is mainly construction is little slow in adopting technology. That is what I also used to feel. Now, because of labor shortage, because of inaccurate construction and construction errors, more and more technology and digitization is being applied in construction also. For example, I say if you want to fabricate a pipe, if normally a refinery will have around 20 to 30,000 kilometers of cable and 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers of piping. To track this material and install it correctly itself is a great job. Previously, we used to do manually. Now, all the piping spool started having RFID tag, so it can be easily scanned and identified and correctly installed and fed back to the model. And because of labor shortage, more and more prefabrication is also emerging. Another latest technology in construction is this 3D printing. Many of you might have heard. 3D printing is a technology which builds anything layer by layer from the model directly. And previously it was being done for a smaller objects. Now time has come and it is emerging. A larger civil constructions are also being done through, are going to be done through 3D printing. For your information, maybe some of you have read in paper, L&T has printed a 600 to 800 square feet ground floor and first floor house in Kanjipuram on a trial basis. Still, there are some issues on this 3D printing with respect to larger construction in oil and gas, because the codal requirements are still emerging. It is not recognizing this. There are certain gaps to align with respect to codes when we use 3D printing, which is emerging. People have started working. I will show you a small 3D printing video, which is real. This is a real building somewhere in USA. can see it is having enforcement also. So this technology is going to be the order of the day in future. Considering this, in construction industry where we are, only 2 or 3 construction companies are in international arena from India. Handful of small-time constructors in Indian project. They are a little slow in adopting technology, but these are all going to change. Coming to the operation side of it, how digitally enabled operation is being done in the oil and gas industry to minimize human errors, human intervention, improve safety, more certainty. I will not speak much on this. I will share some of the videos which will tell you in real life what is going on in this industry, and this is the future.
Digital transformation is changing the industrial landscape. Enterprises require connected solutions for rapid response, cost reduction, improved preventative maintenance, and increased uptime. In this scenario, a rig worker, Kyle, is about to complete his first inspection on a recently installed pipe fitter and gauge. With his zone-rated device, Kyle initiates his work instructions by scanning the asset barcode. Once Kyle completes the first part of the inspection, he is then instructed to connect the on-site cube to his phone and calls Taylor, the off-site senior engineer, to continue the pipe gauge inspection.
Hi Taylor, it's Kyle from the Aberdeen rig. I'm just checking this new pump gauge, and I'm just wondering if the reading I'm seeing is correct.
Hi Kyle, the numbers are reading correctly. I am switching to thermal view to confirm the gauge with a temperature reading. I'm also recording this session to add to our knowledge base.
Taylor changes the view from the cube to thermal and adds the temperature spot and captures images.
I'm going to bring in our supplier to confirm what I'm seeing.
Hi Taylor, how can I help you today?
Hi Zach, this is our first time looking at our gauge since installation. Here is the thermal view, and here is the gauge. Is what we're seeing what you expect?
Yes, this looks right. I'm going to mark off the initial check as complete. Thank you, Taylor.
Thanks, Zach.
Taylor and Carl are able to complete the inspection. Once the call ends, the recording and pictures are automatically uploaded to on-site workspace for future reference.
Okay, thanks,
You can see how connected this is and how teams, the main engineering job is still remote and the vendor is somewhere else, but it can be connected together by these digital wearables. Then in this video, what I am going to show is how robotics is being leveraged. Not very heavily, this is highly emerging, but this is going to be the future. You see how the robots are going in hazardous area and in real time checking the informations, including abnormal sounds, which can be transmitted back to the control room or to engineering office elsewhere, to technical service, to the vendor, so that corrective actions can be taken at appropriate time and lot of downtime is minimized. Also, we are not exposing people to hazardous environment. Then another one thing that is emerging in oil and gas operation and construction is use of drones mainly for inspection purpose.
My name is Eli Moselle with Halo Robotics, and we're here at Link Terminal, a tank facility for downstream oil and gas with over 20 tanks, executing drone operations to support maintenance and asset integrity management of the tanks and pipeline infrastructure. Halo Robotics is the Indonesia partner of many global leaders in commercial drone technology, including Emiscent, DJI Enterprise, and Flyability, which are making the powerful drone solutions which we are using today.
Nama saya Johannes Sukidi, Managing Director dari Halo Robotics. Ini adalah proyek yang sangat penting bagi kami dengan teknologi drone yang memimpin kegiatan optimasi dan efisiensi di industri minyak dan gas di Indonesia. Memberikan akses terhadap data spasial dan visual tanpa harus ada downtime operasional.
This project demonstrated several very powerful commercial drone technologies for oil and gas and heavy industries. The first is general visual inspection, which allows us to fly over the assets, collecting high-resolution thermal and long-range zoom camera data in order to conduct a safe and systematic inspection of all kinds of surface facility assets without ever flying over people or property. The second major application is confined space or close visual inspection, which allows us to fly inside the tanks and around high-risk structures at a very close proximity without potentially even requiring manned entry into the tanks.
Flyability Helios 2 baru saja dirilis tahun ini dan berfokus pada penggunaannya di industri minyak dan gas. Drone ini adalah drone pertama yang diklasifikasikan sebagai alat inspeksi formal oleh Lloyd's and Bureau Veritas.
This is able to save a huge amount of time and cost and is much safer than traditional methods which involve scaffolding and other dangerous inspection techniques. A third thing that is very unique is LiDAR scanning to make an accurate 3D reconstruction.
Another one thing that is very interesting that is emerging is what we call in our parlance immersive technologies using virtual reality and augmented reality. This can be built into a wearable like a helmet, and you can really see things like what we see in the real life. This is real. Some of the companies are already leveraging it for training purpose, also for operation of the plant.
The city of Toul has one of the most modern combined cycle power plants in France. Celeste has not only commissioned Siemens to build this plant, but also to operate it under an operation and maintenance contract.
There's a will in any plant operated by Siemens Service to provide the best efficiency. So we are operating the plant of Toul as if it were our own.
What if we have a completely digital chain from collecting data, evaluating data, and have post-processing of data? My opinion is that augmented reality can help to achieve this. That's my vision.
Siemens uses professional-grade augmented reality as a versatile tool for the digitalization of power plant services, during operation as well as for staff training.
The DACRI helmet, I think, is going to be a great component for our training for the Operating and Maintenance Centre. It's going to expand our portfolio and be able to train on-site. So you've got operators training locally via the augmented training.
It's a very amazing experience. And, well, actually, it's very simple to use.
Welcome to the Siemens Operating and Maintenance Training Program. You're ready to start your first training session.
Trainees can familiarize themselves with the processes in the power plant step by step. by using virtual work instructions, prepared training sequences, or remote assistance directly from a trainer.
Well done. You passed the first part of your training.
Well, it was like a new world full of technology and innovation, a new way of life.
The DACRI Smart Helmet can also be used as an intelligent solution in operation and maintenance. A big advantage? The communication with the Siemens SPPA T3000 control system is possible, therefore allowing digital measurement and operating data to be immediately available wherever they are needed.
Avec le casque d'ACRI, l'avantage c'est qu'on pourra travailler les mains libres et je pense que c'est vraiment le futur de l'industrie de travailler avec ce type de casque.
The operation engineers use the helmet as an on-site information tool and can communicate directly with colleagues in the control room via remote expert.
Pierre, pour la salle de contrôle.
Oui, Pierre, je t'écoute.
Alors, j'attends instruction, je suis au sampling conteneur.
Tu peux ligner pour la partie HP.
Bien reçu, je commence les réglages.
Je te remercie.
C'est très pratique d'avoir la fonctionnalité thermique directement intégrée au casque. Ça, pareil, ça évite d'avoir à retourner à l'atelier pour aller chercher le matériel, pour aller faire ce relevé thermique.
Digitalization is not the future, it's the present.
Siemens is driving digitalization on all levels and
So, this is the way things are emerging in oil and gas. Then finally, what is the potential for Indian business? Now, in my slides, I have explained India has already emerged as an engineering hub. But that is going to change because more and more cost pressures are coming. So this engineering, with all this digitization and the modern communication facilities available, more and more smaller, high-end design engineering companies are going to emerge. And this will be integrated into the overall engineering by main aggregator. The smaller high-end design engineering team in India is not fully emerged. There are a handful, but still most of the high-end designs are being done and in Europe and USA. But with this connectivity and pressure on sustainability, more and more smaller teams will be working distributed from India, not only from major cities. It can also be the future to operate these teams from two-tier cities and smaller towns, because which will have higher connectivity, and thereby you will have a better cost advantage. Some companies have already started moving to second-tier and third-tier cities, but it is going to grow. Another important thing that is emerging in the supply side is global supply chain services hub is going to be in India in future. If I remember correct, if I am permitted to take some names, maybe Shell is operating its procurement center from India, somewhere in OMR Road. But others are also still thinking in these lines to centralize it in India across their global plants, all the procurements, even for their operation, even for their maintenance, even for their capital projects will be sourced through this services team. As I have explained, a lot of potential is there for equipment and system manufacturing. This is heavily under-leveraged. This has to grow. And there is no way this will be left out, because some people are still not very happy with about China quality, even though the cost is less. I know certain oil operators specifically write in their tenders, no supply from China for certain equipments. So India has got a good potential if we leverage the manufacturing from India. Also, more and more shop fabricated things are going to be there, to be assembled in site rather than stick building in site various structures, various equipment. That means more and more skids and prefabricated systems are going to emerge, and that will be shop fabricated. The idea emerging is design one and build many. That is standardization also is coming into this play. Right now, module fabrication is heavily leveraged only in the offshore, but slowly in recent project, modularization is also coming in the onshore project, and India has got, except one company which is having a modularization fabrication yard somewhere in Azira, there is no single modulars are being fabricated in India. Most of the modules are fabricated in China and Thailand. So this is a very good potential for structural piping and integrating it into a module. It will also can be leveraged and it will emerge. If you see all the augmented reality, drone connectivity and all those things, the operations of these refineries and maintenance of these refineries across the globe is centralized, and the engineering support for operation is going to emerge from India. If I may be permitted to take some names, ExxonMobil is already leveraging this and trying to develop their engineering hub in Bangalore to support some of their refinery operations. I think they have already started supporting some of the refinery operations from India. Also, India is very proud to be on IT center and IT hub. These digital solutions can leverage our IT capabilities and robotics and smart wearables manufacturing. And this is another area which has got a great potential. Then once if we are into these immersive technologies like VR and AR, India can also emerge as a training center for the globe. When all these plant operators and maintenance technicians can be trained remotely using this, India services will be more and more sought after for global training services as well. With all these things, as I said, our engineering graduates has to be, and our faculty has to be aware such things are happening, and they have to impart proper knowledge and equip our future engineers to be part of this emerging trends. With this, I think thanks for your patience. Maybe some of you know this already. However, this is the emerging trend and the future is bright. With this, I am finished with my talk.
Thank you so much, sir. It was quite an interesting and elaborate presentation that you have shared, and you have also shared your own insights about the industry. Just to sum it up, the emerging trends, the topic that you took up today was very apt and very helpful and very useful for a lot of our entrepreneur community. You touched upon the whole industry from a global and Indian perspective, and you also highlighted how the industry is going forward, and you have broadly covered the major areas of engineering, procurement, and construction, and how the technology enablement is happening in various sectors today. Especially the illustrations and the videos that you have chosen and taken time to choose for our presentation is a major eye-opener both for your own industry and for the entrepreneurs who are attending the presentation today. Although it is all from the public domain, I'm sure it has been of great help because a lot of people wouldn't be knowing or even thinking about how to go about in their businesses. The digital transformation overall being enabled through different technologies today, be it augmented reality, virtual reality, robotics, 3D printing, the deployment of drones, the laser scanning, the visual examples that you have provided today is a very good knowledge share as well as an insight to a lot of people who are in the industry to kind of look forward to providing solutions or even being a part of the solution in a very small way. And you also covered how our own Indian scenario is emerging in all these sectors. And like how you have mentioned, we are at a very nascent stage, or some people have gone to the level of going to the next stage. But there are a lot of business opportunities and solution opportunities available in the market. And most importantly, at the end of the day, all this technology is being used to majorly help people in managing their safety, and it is a very good implementation tool for their own maintenance work in the industry. Now, a lot of people have been giving positive feedback and great appreciation about your presentation. We would like to take the questions also, and some people have posted it in the chat boxes. So we will take up one by one and throw the questions to you, and also request the members to open their mics and talk whenever they can do that in order. Now, Mr. Chandra has posted a few queries whether Industry 4.0 can be taken up as a syllabus in our university itself. What is your thought on that?
Tarek, can you repeat that question a little louder so that I didn't get it properly.
Sir, Mr. Chandra has posted one suggestion that Industry 4.0 can be taken up as a subject in our syllabus itself in all the universities. He wants your thought on that.
Yes, but to teach it, if you see the subject what I have covered is very broad and it is multidisciplinary. It is not pertaining to one discipline. It is not a chemical engineer or an electronics engineer who can alone do this. It's a multidisciplinary subject. Yes, this can be one of the electives as well, because when I was speaking some time back to VIT Nagpur, their syllabus is very advanced. They teach many things which are really practiced in industry. Yes, our university also, if they want to introduce this subject, and I feel they should, I am available for them to help to structure that syllabus. But it cannot be a core degree. It can be one of the elective subject in my opinion.
Correct, sir. I think you are right. And the next question is from Mr. S.P. Kannan. Would like to know more from Mr. Balasubramaniam, the status and future of process safety requirements in oil and gas and petrochemical industries, both in Indian and Middle East market.
You want to know about stringent oil and gas safety requirements?
Correct.
Yes. Stringent oil and gas safety requirement starts from siting of the facility. These days, previously it was unheard of. Whoever is having wherever government or whoever an entrepreneur can find a plot of that size in an industrial area, he will go and construct. Now, no longer it is there. There are at least 20 regulations in India which you have to adhere to. I will briefly touch upon that. First starts with our age-old factory inspector. Now the recent one is environmental impact assessment. Then it doesn't stop there. Then you have to do a QRA, qualitative risk analysis. Then also you have to do any equipment or pressure vessels. If you are designing, it has to comply with static and mobile pressure vessels control. That now it is renamed as PESO, which is operating from Nagpur. There are many such regulations. And there is particularly for in India, there is our friends from IOCL can appreciate very well. There is OSID requirements are there, which are very well documented, and it is kept updated with respect to the recent developments as well. So this is not only the compliance of the stringent regulation. More and more international players are coming into the Indian arena, and Indian oil and gas operators are also becoming more responsible and more accountable for the safety and welfare of the public around the facility, not only their own employees. So the cost of building a facility which is unsafe is much more with respect to reputation and other indirect social and legal cost. So everybody, whether regulation or not, these days are highly safety conscious while designing so many checks and balances are instituted. So we are not lagging behind in designing or building any of our Indian facility as compared to what is built elsewhere in the world. It is also built to the same standard. All that I wanted to say was the awareness has come much more. So there is a cost to it. You have to conduct a QRA, you have to see the siting facility, you have to need more space. All these facilities comes with a price and time. And there are sophisticated tools available to predict the scenarios now. Previously, if I have to do a vapor cloud scenario, it was impossible. Now I can do a software to say if an explosion occurs in this plant, how the pressure wave is transferring also is predictable. So that way it is fully emerged in our country. That is what I think it hopes answers the question.
Thank you, sir. There's a question from Mr. Hemant Lokre. In terms of skids, any standard packages we should focus which are in high demand? Probably he's meaning the software packages or the skid assembly packages. Mr. Hemant, would you like to unmute?
It is difficult for me to answer this because the way I presented, I took somebody's help. It shows I am not very technology savvy. So what? But I think there are in a refinery or in an oil and gas facilities, average around 3,000 to 4,000 equipments are there, roughly. And previously, all these things are built individually, bought a piece and built inside. Now the trend is towards going to modularize it. There are many skids available, packages available, right from water treatment package, chemical injection package, glycol package. There are innumerable. Probably that is a separate study which has got a good market. I feel if a person is setting up a facility to fabricate a certain type of skid or certain type of module, it can be easily adapted to the others also. It is not limited like that.
Great, sir. And the next question is from your own batchmate, Mr. Agaro Murthy. How about the technologies in India? Most of the technology are from the West, Japan, and also from Korea. India lags much behind. What's your opinion?
Yes, as of today, it lagged, but it was lagging on this whatever other technological advances we are right now using. Say like this computers, this computing technologies. There are so many electronics which we were lagging. But as the time progresses, if entrepreneurs are coming out and if Indian base is going to become economically advantage for certain Western companies, definitely this will emerge. But as of today, Agaramurthy, you are very right. We are not there. We are in packets. Maybe we can build some drone, but it is not really. Whether if you ask me whether this drone can be certified to go inside a vessel or an oil and gas facility with respect to explosion and other rules, maybe not today. But if you see, Agaramurthy, there is always talent available to build it in bits and pieces. Only thing is a concentrated effort is required, and that will emerge in a period of time.
Thank you, sir. The next one is from Mr. Rajidaya, who is also a part of the digital strategy team at BPCL. The question is, can you throw some insight on the accuracy level of the Digitam twins in the refinery sector?
I didn't get the question. What is the accuracy level? What do you mean by accuracy level?
Maybe
It is the same replica of one model or the clone. Whatever is there, it will be here. What is the accuracy level we are looking for in which sphere?
Rajeshwari, you can ask. You can unmute and ask Rajeshwari.
Maybe she is specifically talking about digitam twins. That can be a focus question offline also.
No, yeah, I will try to understand so that if I am not.
Yes, sir, she can unmute and talk.
Rajeshwari, you can unmute and talk, Rajeshwari.
Very good morning, all. Thank you for this very insightful presentation, sir. I mean, special thanks to Gopinath, sir, for sending the invite. So my question is, sir, the digital twins are the virtual assets or the physical copies which can be utilized in the offline, which will give a, the exact accuracy or, gives the exact output what we are looking for. But when these digital twins, when it is put it on the real time basis, say for example instance simulation models, what my question is very specific about is the simulation models. When we create the virtual copies in terms of digital twin, and when we try to replicate it on the real time basis, the outputs that we are getting out of the digital twin models, the extent of accuracy looks to be little less. So my question was specific to the simulation models, the virtual copies that has been made in as a digital twins. That's what my question is about.
I will tell you, as a process engineer, the digital twins, theoretically, it should be same as the original. But what scenario was built in that model, how accurate that was the original simulation model. And if that model is accurate, I don't see a difference in this clone model. I have used some models which are very predictive and which are very accurate, provided the earlier built model and the reactor conditions and the other process parameters at the original stage. If the data are correct, this will also be correct. But after all, you should also understand, Rajeshwari, this is not a physical verification. All these are all through algorithms and polynomials inside that equation. Of course, it has got certain element of error. If you say 1-to-1 exactly to the second digit, I feel maybe not possible, but it can tell you ballpark whether you are there or not there. I think that answers your question. If you need specific something, Gopi has my number. You can speak to me. We can discuss more in detail as to what is the real issue.
Sure, sir. We'll take it up and share your number to her. The next query is Industry 4.0, which is live now. Also, I heard version 5.0 is emerging. I think it is more of an information that has been posted. There is a question from Mr. Chandra Kumar. Sir, what about relevance of Solomon benchmarking?
To be very honest, I don't know ABC of what you are talking. I will take this question. I will go on. We have a lot of benchmarking within our company also, and we have done some benchmarking with, we always benchmark our projects, but this particular one, I'm sorry, I am not able to answer offhand, but this Solomon benchmarking, I will come back to you.
Thank you, sir. The next one is from Mr. Sivaraman. With the current scenario, many places are sacked in oil and gas industry. It has become like IT companies now. Whether it is going to open more opportunities for small engineering companies based on project to project?
I think so. This is my personal view. If I can speak off the record. Most of the engineering companies in India are larger ones, an arm of multinational companies. Typically, they have anywhere between 500 to 2,000 people maximum. Companies which have tried to grow beyond 2,000 people has found it very difficult to sustain during the downturn. But there is other way to look at it is why people are getting sacked. This is my personal view on the oil and gas industry. Particularly, I can tell you with respect to engineering and other services. When compared to the cost of doing engineering elsewhere in the world is much higher than what is being done, what that can be delivered from India. However, for the past so many years, all this low cost or high value engineering benefits are passed on to the parent company for winning the job and executing and improving the bottom line of the company. Somehow, sorry to say, many of the multinationals today or the Indian management who is here, maybe a Western also, does not go and plead the case of Indian engineers properly to the globe. That is what I feel, because this cost can be carried by the parent company. Because if you want a high value engineering center, it cannot come out of the blue. You have to invest. That investment is people and tools. So why people are getting sacked? This is a knee-jerk reaction. This is not going to sustain. India, any company you go, the focus is on India. It may be a smaller knee-jerk reaction. It will come up. However, as the project grows bigger and complex, more pressure on margins, the team is expected to be more agile. Agile means what? If you see this IT technology, agile means smaller, more focused team for that outcome. That is what I understand from my IT colleagues. This is the meaning of agile. So more and more concentrated, high-end, smaller engineering companies will emerge, and necessarily this will be located outside of metro for further cost advantage. This is what is going to emerge. I think it answers the question.
Yes, sir. I think your views are very, very correct, and that is how it may emerge tomorrow. The next one is from Mr. Prasad, who's from Singapore. Dear sir, I appreciate on the process safety. It's very much essential. How about people safety? Do you have any advice on people safety and tracking?
Oh, you have touched upon my favorite topic. I don't know, because my experience in this industry is around to the tune of, say, 4 decades. I know, I have been party to this safety culture from 1979 till where we are today. When I first went to my construction job, I could see, I don't want to name the company, I could see people walking with chappals, people walking without a lanyard on a pipe rack, climbing here and there. Many accidents have occurred in front of my own eyes. However, during the course of this 40 years, many things have changed, and oil industry has understood the safety for not only for their own assets, for the people whom they employ, also the public at large. Today, the awareness is very high. Today, the recent trend is behavioral-based safety. I wanted to touch upon this because due to want of time, I skipped. How do accidents occur? Because of unsafe conditions and unsafe acts. These two are the combination for an accident to occur. Unsafe act, to certain extent in industry, we can control by controlling the workflows, by checks and balances, by permit to work system, by ensuring all the systems are properly laid out. But how to follow this is the behavior. that behavior-based safety is still lacking in India, even though it is picking up. Sorry to demean, not to demean any Indian colleagues or Indian operation. If I have seen a Western and an Indian counterpart, the behavioral based safety is very much, you can see the difference. Partly because my personal view is we believe in fate. We think if something has to happen, it will happen anyway. Maybe that is the attitude behaviorally we have to change. So in most of the companies, including Indian operating companies, the basic things are in place: life-saving rules and behavior-based safety. This behavior-based safety, I will give you just an example. In the plant, we are very much controlled. We know where to go, how to go, where to PP, to where, all these things are there. But part of behavioral-based safety, the thing that is first and foremost is situational awareness. Situational awareness means before you go somewhere, or if you go somewhere, you have to be aware of the situation where you are in. How many of us, when you go to a mall or a theater, or we go and stay in some hotel, how many of us really take time? How many of us are really taking time to understand where is the emergency exit, where you have to assemble, where are the fire alarms, where are the extinguisher? We don't do. This is the behavioral problem. Even though the situation all are provided. So that is changing now. That is changing. If you see, even for a apartment building now, I am very happy to see the workers are wearing PP. Previously, it was not. Even in industry, they were not wearing. Now, if I go around in Chennai, see where large apartments are under construction, I could see people are wearing helmet, people are wearing orange jackets, people are wearing safety shoes. It will change. It will emerge.
Got it, sir. Thank you very much. The next question is from Mr. Adnav Srikanth. What will be the future of fossil fuels while the entire world and the MNCs like Shell are promoting and investing in renewable energy sector?
Fuel dependence is slowly decreasing, but it is not. But I don't think it will be totally eliminated. That is my perception on this. And fossil fuels the focus will shift to crude to chemical, and anyway it cannot go. It will still remain. It will become more greener. The way you produce this may become change, but it will remain.
Thank you, sir. I'll request some members who have raised their hands to unmute themselves and ask the question directly. Over to Mr. Santanam. Sir, you can unmute yourself and go ahead. Mr. Santanam.
Sir, very good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Your presentation takes us to the classrooms, and we are very much happy. And I request you, as some others suggested, let this be included in the curriculum, as well as it should be arranged for the students to visit the various factories to personally practice the operations. That is is it possible? If that can be done, it will be very much easy for them. It will be very easy to recognize it practically. That is my humble suggestion, sir. Thank you.
Sure, we are always. I am always advocating some of the summer entrance. Regularly, so whoever has approached us, I'll try to accommodate, because it depends. We personally, I am saying, where the company I am working, we don't believe in bringing somebody, spend 3 weeks, 1 week, and issuing him a certificate. If I bring somebody, he has to be regularly taught, and I have to see my the schedule of my mentor, his availability. Then we will accept this trainees. But another side of it is also there. I was very closely working with some of the professors of some institute. When they wanted some internship, they said you approach. Then one of the students approached me and I asked him, okay, if you come here, this is minimum 4 weeks, 6 weeks. You have to be regular. We will assign you a mentor. We will give you a problem. He will guide you how to solve this. He says, no, sir, these are all I am not interested. When can I collect my certificate?
Yeah, got it, sir. There is, unfortunately, that kind of a situation is still there, but slowly it's all changing. I request Mr. Jadhav, Venkat Jadhav, to unmute and ask you a question, please. Mr. Sekhar, would you like to unmute and ask?
Venkat, can you unmute and ask, Venkat?
I think Mr. Shekhar is asking. Mr. Shekhar, please unmute yourself. Yeah.
I'm Shekhar here. My name is Shekhar. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you.
Yes, sir, I'm able to.
I passed out of AC Tech in 1980. And Mr. Narsimhan, 1979 batch, he passed out with Mr. R. Balasubramaniam, I think.
No, sir, Mr. Narsimhan is from the 1963 batch, sir.
No, one Narsimhan was there, 1979. Anyway, that is out of this point. See, the point is, it was an excellent speech, by Mr. R. Balasubramaniam. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. The point is, he has been mentioning that all the chemical engineers are showing interest in IT platform and not on chemical engineering subjects. After hearing this, see, I am now retired, but I myself feel I should be in the chemical industry only, oil and gas, refineries, Madras refineries, petroleum, because that not only enriches your knowledge, there also, as he said, everything is now programmed, everything is done through machines. So your mental level also will be good, and we will know your chemical engineering knowledge. You can practice this. Towards this, what I thought is, companies like Foster Wheeler, L&T, and other big companies can go to colleges and create awareness to the students to make them interested and join core sectors in the chemical engineering fields rather than IT field. I think this should happen, Mr. R. Balasubramaniam.
Agreed. That is there, but it is one is awareness, one is personal interest, another is how the students are perceiving this. Yes, that awareness is coming. In some of the students with whom I interacted, they say even though their pay was higher in Citibank, they still wanted to go into civil engineering somewhere, because they felt that it is that is their liking, but it is more of an individual choice. But the head IT company is also not bad. If that is giving satisfaction, that is okay, sir. But this change is occurring. But this awareness, more than the student, the awareness should come to the professors, also to their parents.
See, I am seeing you as an example. You have been 40 years only in this field. I am really very, very happy about it. The point is, a student of the age 20 years, he is unable to think properly, specifically with respect to job. So I think somebody has to do mentoring and make them feel, yes, this is an industry, chemical engineering, a lot of opportunities, a lot of areas where I can improve myself. I can keep the knowledge, what I have studied, and put them into practice. That will be a personal satisfaction, and also he will be very proud when he serves the chemical industry. That's what I felt. Don't you think so, sir?
Sure, sir. But I want to correct only one thing. You said somehow you are very proud. I worked in the same industry for 40 years. Maybe I didn't have opportunity to go further up somewhere. Maybe this is my limit. So I accepted whatever is given to me. That's all. It is not by great I worked here. It so happens.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Let us move on to Mr. Venkat Jadhav. Venkat, can
Yeah, good morning. Yes, I can unmute now. Yeah, thank you. Good morning, sir. This is really nice presentation. So actually, I had a couple of questions. Basically, first one was related to crude to chemical technology. So I've been reading recently, like a few of the companies in Middle East have already started to opt for that. So how about India, like implementing that kind of technology over here in Indian market? So how disruptive that would be, like in terms of changes in the existing plants and all. So can you
Agreed.
just, yeah.
Maybe some of the colleagues in IOCL, and I don't know whether my colleague and friend, Mr. Varadarajan, who is more deeper than me into this field, can answer it better. But I will tell whatever is my feeling. The crude to chemical is real. It is happening. Also, many of the Indian refiners are somehow upgrading or going to upgrade in the near future an integrated complex with petrochemical, which this refinery stocks can be used as a feedstock. If you see, Paradip refinery is already configured like that. And some of the new refineries are already getting configured like this. So the trend is there. So many of the refineries, older refineries, which are getting upgraded, are increasing the capacity while they are requiring to upgrade or augment their capacities and configuration. They are definitely taking into consideration on this, and sure government planning and this oil companies, if I know this, then they know it better than me, these oil companies, sir, because that is their business. My business is not to sell oil. My business is to deliver project.
Yes, sir. Now over to Mr. Manikandan. If you can ask your question directly. He has posted a question. Kindly explain how is it economical to go for modular type design than stick built design for larger projects? I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to.
I will answer this.
Yes, sir.
It is not driven by the price of that piece itself. It is the price, it is the economy and the schedule of the overall things of the project. Say for a project, if you are not able to get a adequately qualified, good labor force to work inside, naturally, nobody is going to scrap the project. They will try and look for alternative means of doing this. That is what I was trying to say with my limited knowledge on this oil and gas project delivery. I am mainly an onshore guy. I have little or no knowledge on offshore. Even though I know a bit, I have not personally delivered any offshore platform or anything.
Bala, can I add something to this this one? Petrofac implemented a very large project, Abu Dhabi. All were modularized because they created artificial islands, 4 islands in which a very large oil and gas facility was installed. So the whole thing was fabricated in yards, and some of them were made in Jebel Ali.
Perfect, Nagarajan.
Those modules,
You are talking of SAR before, I believe. SAR before, I was handling that job in my earlier company in the proposal stage.
Zatco, the project is Zatco.
Zatco, I know the job. But it was an artificial island created because this modularization was not done because of it was offshore. Because we had a limited accommodation of 10,000 people in the site. So necessarily you cannot go beyond 10,000 people accommodation in that site. That site has got a limitation by way of the space because it is an artificial island. So everything was modularized. Unfortunately, I worked very hard to win that bid for that company, but I lost. Maybe you won.
Petrofac won that.
But you are right. Keeping resources there, fabrication facilities, skilled labor, all these were problem. That's why even I can tell you the modules were as big as 60-meter length by 15-meter wide and 15-meter height.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I know, even otherwise also, Nagarajan, you are very right. It is not driven by the piece of that equipment alone. It is the other constraint, schedule, manpower, space. So many factors are coming into play. And these days, because of the quality of the people, always it is better to fabricate in shop. One is it gives you more control, better quality. Second, it minimizes your site activity. You can just bring it and assemble. I think most of the onshore jobs today are aiming for modularization. That is the order of the day. It is going to come.
Yeah, the engineering itself was very big. We had 750 strong engineering team working in Chennai for that project. Almost, yeah.
My proposal itself was having 90 people working under me at that time to put this proposal. Then naturally this will be like that. Okay, Nagarajan. Thanks for your sharing of your experience as well.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think this is the last question in the chat box that we have got from Prasad. Now the oil consumer in the world may go to electrical vehicle innovation. The new trend, people are looking at crude to chemicals rather than diesel and petrol. What are your thoughts on this?
Absolutely, it is going towards crude to chemical, but petrochemical consumption when compared to the world in India, it is less. And if you see, right from, you take anyone's life from morning to night till we go to bed, you just think how many chemicals we use. So it will go towards that. Right from your toothpaste, shampoo, soap, whatnot, your shirt, your plastics, your car also has some plastic. It is you cannot get rid of this fuel so easily, this crude so easily. It will be used in some other form.
Thank you, sir. Jayanti Srinivasan, you can unmute. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. I work for TechNep. The last 2 points that we had a discussion, I would also like to give some more inputs from my experience. One is on the decision of going in for a modularization versus stick belt was also dependent on the site conditions. One of the projects that we executed, now we went for a modularization on and offshore, only because it was in Russia on a very harsh climate. And movement from the yard and then to the site would really warrant an optimization on the modularization. So this is something which also was one of the considerations when we really talk about a modularization versus the stick built on an offshore. So all the onshore need not of late is getting executed just on the onshore way. It was a project of an onshore with a modularization, and the construction was more how an offshore would have been constructed. So the harsh conditions, climatic conditions also played a role. The second is on the question of this petrochemical refinery to the petrochemical. Yes, we also have a recent experience that now the refineries are going in for a more integrated solution where the refinery input is given to the petrochemical. And we also have an experience recently that a petrochemical module has been added on a refinery expansion. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes,
Gopi.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
you. Jayanti is Gopi. Incidentally, Jayanti is my classmate. Huh?
Yeah, thanks for that introduction, Gopi. And good that you invited me. It's the first seminar that I'm attending. And it's very interesting, very well presented and well organized. So look forward to a lot of such interactions. And as the discussion really went, his view that we need to really have a good collaboration with the university really is a very good suggestion. But the syllabus is not so easy to be, amended by an industrialist like us. So we will see a big gap there. Let's see how to go about. If it can be really done, and if it can really be, created the interest in the, outgoing team of people who would want to choose this EPC sector or an oil and gas sector, it is very good. But in my opinion, I don't know if everyone will agree, but the mindset of the youngsters now is more on job stability, on what they want to really earn. They want a big money at the first instance. So these are the things we have to really give them a comfort level to get them on board into our industry in the long run. This is my opinion. Anyway, thanks for the invitation.
Yes, Jayanti, thank you very much. Now, I think we are done with the questions, Bala sir, and we should in fact thank you for taking so much of time in preparing for this presentation and passionately answering all the questions as well. We would like to have the member introduction session if you have time, Bala sir. Can we have...
Tariq, 1 minute. Tariq, 1 minute.
Yeah, go ahead, Gopi.
I would like to call upon Mrs. Stalin to say a few words.
Okay.
Stalin is from the 71 batch. He's a veteran in the fertilizer industry. So I would like to hear from Mr. Stalin.
Okay. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, Mr. Stalin, go ahead.
Okay, good. So I belong to the 71 batch. I spent more than 40 years in the fertilizer industry. I also was with oil and petrochemicals for more than 4 years on the project side. Two quick observations. One is about the job opportunities, whether people want to go for IT sector or the core engineering. Say, my own feeling is in the early 2000, when the IT industry was so attractive and the salary levels were very handsome, and the IT industry was willing to pick up anybody with an engineering degree, not necessarily a computer engineer, anybody with an engineering degree they were grabbing with a very handsome salary. So obviously, psychologically, everybody was tuned towards entering into IT industry. But I think there is a kind of evening out, especially in the last few years. But today, even if somebody wants to go into the core industry, let us say chemical industry itself, the job opportunities are very, very much less. When we all came out of the college in 1971, there were so many opportunities for a fresh chemical engineer. So though we talk about, I'm not talking politics, but just I'm making a statement. Though we talk about make in India and all that, are we really growing in the manufacturing sector? Really speaking, no. We are growing only in the service sector. So when the real growth happens in the manufacturing, I think the young engineers also will look into working in their own core field. This is just an observation. Now coming to safety, I was really very glad when Mr. Balasubramaniam talked about personal safety, because rather individual safety. This is also my own favorite subject. He was thinking that it is the fate which is playing the game in India. I don't know whether it is fate. I have a feeling that it's a kind of adventurous attitude and also a kind of get it done somehow. These two mindsets have to go out. Having worked in India and also abroad, I could very clearly see the difference in the mindset of people with respect to safety in our country and also elsewhere. Safety is also something has to do with top-driven approach. I'll just give 2 examples. In my first company, based on what I saw elsewhere, I wanted to get the 5-star rating from British Safety Council and the Sword of Honor. Eventually, we became the first fertilizer company in the entire country to get the 5-star rating and the Sword of Honor, because it was really speaking something pushed into the throats of the people. But eventually, people had a lot to gain, and it became a way of life and the improved safety practices and all those things. But I very sincerely believe that safety has to be a top-driven approach. To continue on that, in somewhere else within India, I found a disappointed company which could not get the 5-star rating. Again, based on certain initiatives, we made them also to get the 5-star rating and also the Sword of Honor subsequently. And Balasubramanian was mentioning about extensive use of PPEs these days, even in the construction industry. That's a welcome sign. And I am sure that this has to become a way of life in the chemical industry because the risk is too high. Just two observations I wanted to make, but otherwise, I really enjoyed today's presentation. Since as I said, I also have worked in oil and chemical industry, and I was also part of a team which implemented Industry 4.0 in a fertilizer company very recently. And when he talked about a lot of current trends, especially about drones and robots and all that, I was really thrilled because whenever we talk about automation and digitalization, my first question used to be, what happens to the field vigilance? Everything cannot be managed sitting by someone sitting in front of a DCS panel. Always there is something called as vigilance in the field. What is the health of the equipment? Who is going to check where a bearing is running high, a bearing temperature is running high, or whether there is an oil leak, or there's a potential gas leak, those kind of things. Even though robots and drones may not be able to fully substitute, this is something definitely a good development. But eventually, the person who is evaluating all those things, he matters a lot. I don't think human brain is going to be totally out of running a chemical industry, especially with high hazard potential, which is in the oil and the gas industry. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. I would like to take 2 points from you. One is you rightly said about we are driven by fate. That is what I said, the behavior has to change. I'll tell you an example. A few days back, before the pandemic, I was going in a car driven by somebody else. He was driving so rash. I asked him, why you drive so rash? It is you will be in danger and you are putting me also in danger. You know what was his reply? He says, no, sir, this is anything happen, it will happen. So that is a total reliance on fate. Second thing you said about Jugaad mentality is perfect, sir. Some of my colleagues who are here, who very closely work with me, like Navnithan sir, Padma, and all those people who know me very well, I always say, don't come to me with a jugaad. Somehow it will be done is not the word I hate to hear in project delivery. So you are very, you told very correctly, sir. That is what I want to say.
Thank you, sir.
Tariq, 1 minute. Tariq, 1 minute, Tariq.
Yeah, go ahead, Gopi.
Yeah. Can we call upon Mr. N.S. Venkatraman, Director, Nandini Consultants, to say a few words? He's from the 68 batch.
Oh, NSV is with us today, so we should.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. NSV is there, sir.
Then we should hear NSV.
Sir, NSV, sir, can you just unmute and say a few words, sir? Sir, can you unmute?
Are you able?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Gopi, NSV is still in mute.
I'm trying to unmute him, sir. Tariq, is there a way to unmute him?
Yeah, we can. I have already disabled the. He can unmute actually.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
I just want to congratulate Mr. Balasubramanian for an excellent talk. But one thing I would like to make one observation is, with regard to the development that what have been going on, there are two things are here as far as India is concerned. When you talk about the oil and gas, we have to necessarily talk about the petrochemical industry. Coming to the petrochemical industry, the focus has to be necessarily on the small and medium scale sector. And then only it will have a very fast growth, not the large scale sector. And in the case of the small scale sector, how relevant all these modern gadgets would be is one question that we have to see, because they can't afford the investment. That's one part. Another observation I would like to make is, Mr. Balasubramanian, I think if I understood correct, I said that all these subjects can be taught only as a part of the engineering curriculum, not as a full-time course. I think I disagree with that. Probably the right stage here is, let the chemical engineering subject as far now goes on, then create number of fields in all this at the postgraduate level, bring a specialized course of 6 months or 1 year and train the people. So problem here that comes is not only the students, even the professors themselves lack training here. So it is high time that we start a training institute for the professors in all these modern areas and then transform the knowledge to the younger generation. Because people in Balasubramanian are like me are 40 or 45 years old and we don't have much of a role to play except as an advisor in the course of time. The future in the hands of youngsters. So creating the youngsters and building a strength among the youngsters is a level of knowledge. That is the core need of the day. So there you have to necessarily introduce a lot of postgraduate course of short duration to train the people on a variety of different kind of fields. Thank you.
Tariq, one more. Tariq, we have a guest from the former CEO of TPL is there, Mr. Palniandi Pillai. He can say a few words. Sir, please, can you just unmute and speak, sir?
Yeah. Good morning to all. Thank you very much. It was a very good presentation by Balasubramanian. And I also, because I had a question also, because we did EIA and because I worked in Oman also putting a refinery. And I also had the experience of working with Foster Wheeler in Glasgow office for 1 year. And with UOP for 1 year when we're doing the process engineering. And I know that how they work, how engineering company works and how the technology company works and all that. But the EIA and even we did the QRA with Worley Parsons for Oman refinery. The problem is once you do the EIA, everything we calculate the vapor cloud, how it goes, where the villages and all that, everything is okay. But in India, once you put the factory, all the people starts coming close by. That is a big problem. So we cannot counter that data because I think like Saudi Arabia, even Jubail and all, if you see, it's an industrial area, they put a fence and nobody's allowed. So like that, something should be cared of, to be taken care, or else it may get into a problem. Later stage when something, a mishap happens and all that, it may be a problem. I think something has to be taken care of.
Thank you, sir. Point well taken. I think you may not remember me. I worked from Saudi Arabian Kents when you were with Gulf Arabi, if my memory goes correct, sir.
Correct. I was with Gulf Arabi from 2001 to 10 years I was there.
Yeah, I was there from Kent side executing your job, sir.
Mr. Madhuplay was there, no? Madhuplay.
Yeah, Madhuplay was there. I was there. So many Western experts were there, sir. I remember you. And yeah. Gunasekaran was there.
Yeah, Gunasekaran was there. Now he is there.
He's still there, sir. He's still there, sir.
Thank you.